That's turning point. So I want to welcome our new joiner, Mark. Let's try to open our camera, guys. Yes, let's try to open our cam. Oh wow. There's a transcript. OMG. I was so amazed with that.
Talent.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's talk about this. What can you see in the picture? Dan, what can you see in the picture?
An old model car.
Correct. Okay. What else? Janet, what else do you see?
Cars.
Yeah, cars. Okay. What do you
Pricey
notice
cars.
on the price? Let me see. Let me compute this one. This is dollars. Let's see. What's the value of this? 149,000 times, let's say 52 is the dollars. 7,748,000 pesos. That's the value of this car. This is
Mm.
1974 Ford Bronco.
It's
So, say for
pricey.
example, yes, it's really pricey, but it's 1974. But currently, right now, it's being, eh, it's 1974, but they have preserved it up until today. It's vintage. So that means at some point, this some of these cars has been like refurbished. Some of these cars might have a bad engine, so it was repaired, it was restored, and currently it has a very good price. It could be sold in a very, in a very valuable price. Look at that, 7 million nowadays, right? So this one, we also have a 1960 Chevy Impala. Yeah, I think when I was in XM Radio, when I was still working in Saitel, I hear this car a lot, Chevy Impala. I didn't thought that it's almost a vintage car. Okay, so for our subtopic here, old but can be restored, right? Your life. Say for example, what are you in your old self before you you know um before you became that kind of person right now? Probably you might be a drunkard like me. Probably um you might be a liar. You might be, someone who hurt
Might be a
others.
cheater.
You might be a cheater like me, Char. So everybody, right? There's this old self that could be restored. Okay? There's this old person, but it could be restored and could be renewed. And that's what we are going to talk about this afternoon. Okay? So I need a volunteer. Let's try to read this. Dan, can you read verse 11 to 15? Well, but when you read verses, put feelings on it, right? Okay, so Luke chapter 15, verses 11 to 24. Go ahead, Dan.
Luke chapter 15, verses 11 to 15. Jesus continued, there was a man who had two sons. The younger one said to his father, Father, give me my share of the estate. So he divided his property between them. Not long after that, the younger son got together all he had, set off a distant country, and there squandered his wealth in wild living. Verse 14. After he had spent everything, there was a severe famine in that whole country, and he began to be in need. Verse 15. So he went and hired himself out to a citizen of that country who sent him to his fields to feed pigs.
All right. So I'm gonna read verses 16 to 18. Mark and Janet, be ready for the other verses. Verse 16. He longed to fill his stomach with pods that the pigs were eating, but no one gave him anything. 17. When he came to his senses, he said, how many of my father's hired servants have food to spare, and here I am starving to death? 18. I will set out and go back to my father and say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. Janet, 19 to 21. Go ahead. With feelings.
Alright. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired servants. So he got up and went to his father. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion for him. He ran to his son, threw his arms around him, and kissed him. The son said to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son.
All right. Mark, verse 20 to 24.
They But the father said to his servant, Quick, bring the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. What do you think? Bring the fattened calf and kill it. Let's have a feast and celebrate. 24. For the son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found. So they began to celebrate.
All right. Okay, let's clap our hands for reading this good news. Wow, I love your voice on that, Mark. Okay. Well, Luke, the chapter Luke itself, they call it as a chapter of the loss. Okay. Um, parable of the loss, right? So we have here the parable of the lost coin, the lost son, the lost um what else is the lost here? The yeah, more on the parables here. Correct. Okay. So this is a story wherein in the Bible it depicts here that Israel is the chosen generation, the Jews, right? So when Jesus speaks to people, he speaks with wisdom. Okay, there was a saying in the Bible that whoever has ears, you listen. So that means everything that you will be able to read in the Bible cannot be interpreted literally, right? So the depiction here of because this man who has two sons, the first son, the elder son, who is with him all the time, they represent the Jews. Okay, the father is God. Okay, and then the second son, the younger son, is the Gentiles. Okay, the Gentiles are not non-Jews, but God loves us all. Okay, so what happened is that the younger one said to his father, Father, give me my share of the estate. So while his father is alive, he wanted to get his estate. He wanted to give on Tagalog, it is described as mana, right? Your father is still alive, yet you wanna get you want you wanna get your mana, your inheritance, which is actually nowadays it's a taboo. Why are you getting your inheritance? Your parents is still alive, right? But on their during this time in Israel, this is legal. Yeah, say for example, the probably this younger son wants to have a business venture, wants to uh search for his fortune or whatever he wants to do. So that's legal because um he is a legal son. Okay? So not long after that, the younger son got together all he had. So what he has done, he has the inheritance, and then he set up to a distant country, and there he squandered his wealth in wild living. So he's just squandered everything. Okay, verse 14. After he had spent everything, there was a severe famine in that whole country and began to be in need. So he has friends, maybe he has loved ones in there before who has been with him when he still have money, but right now he began to be in need. He has no friends anymore. Okay? So he began to be in need. He has no money anymore. So he went and hired himself out of to a citizen of that country, who sent him to his fields to feed what? Pigs. You know what? Pigs. Jews doesn't eat pigs. For them, pigs are the dirtiest animal. So the fact that you are holding a pig, you feeding them, and you're even, you are raising them. you're, you are very much like a the most, um what do you call this, pitiful person as a Jew. So that's the reason why they don't eat pigs, right? And some of the denominations right now, they believe that pigs are really, uh they don't need to eat pigs, something like that. They must not eat it. That's like, um in the Old Testament. But since Jesus already tore that, um old covenant before, I mean, when Jesus, uh when Jesus was introduced in the New Testament, all of his words has been the standard for living, all right? For the newer Christians, okay, that has been introduced to the, faith. Okay, so verse 16. He longed to fill his stomach with pods that the pigs were eating, but no one gave him anything. Oh, so right now he is very, very hungry, and he even want to eat the pods that the pigs were eating. So what kind of a shame is that? So verse 17, when he came to his senses, he said, "Oh, this one, he has a realization right now. How many of my father's hired servants have food to spare, and here I am starving to death?" So verse 18, I will set out and go back to my father and say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. All right? So I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired servants. So he got up and went to his father. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion for him. He ran to his son, threw his arms around him, and kissed him. Later on, we're gonna dig deeper on this verse. Okay, verse 20. All right. So here, let's evaluate what are the effects of sin on this boy. Definitely, he has sin. Number one, he took off his inheritance and went away, right? He knows that somehow he has responsibility, somehow he needs to take care of his dad, he needs to help him on their business. Okay, but he just went away, right? He just went on his own. So, number one is separation. Okay, so how can we say what's the separation from his father? Of course, when we sin, actually we are being separated spiritually, with God. Say for example, when you are back before when I was still going to church, right? And then I have this kind of little sin. I know that it's sin that I'm doing, and somehow I cannot feel God anymore. So that means even though you continue doing church, even though you continue sharing the word of God, yet you are continuing to sin, you are separated spiritually. And the people who hear your words cannot really absorb it because there's still something in you that you are holding back, right? So that it's very important for a minister that, before he or she, um, conduct a life group, conduct a service, she should be free from anything, any worry, any anxiety, and just be filled with God's presence so that those people will be hearing his or her words, will be able to inspire, will be motivated, right? And can feel the presence of God. Okay? Second is shame. All right? So what happened here on this when this boy squandered his wealth, so what happened is that he lost his friends, he lost his money, and he became a hired servant taking care of pigs. Oh my gosh, that's very shameful because back before they don't really want to be associated with pigs. It's like you are really on the mud of your life if you are being seen taking care of the pigs, right? Okay? So another one is suffering. So when you have no money, when when you have this when you have committed something that is, out of the will of God, for some reasons you do suffer. Okay? You can feel that suffering, right? Look at this boy. Um when he was still with his father, he's being taken care of. When he decided to be out in the world all by himself, squander the wealth, so what happened? Bad decision, right? Bad decision. He suffered because he cannot be with anyone. He doesn't have money. He doesn't have friends anymore. Some people could be friends with us. Number one, if you know, if we do have money, if we do have fame, if we do have position, if we do have status, well, that's human nature. Because sometimes um, people would like to treat um, others as to how they could be able to help them or how this person can help them back. Okay? So that's human nature. Fourth is sadness, right? So imagine if this boy has been enjoying a rich life before, yet he suddenly experienced this kind of humiliation. So what is his realization? You see in here, his verse 17, when he came to his senses, he said, how many of my father's hired servants have food to spare, and here I am starving to death. So, were you able to experience, were you guys able to experience a lot, much sadness because you have done something that you feel like it's irrevocable, like nothing could be, nothing could compare to it, right? So definitely you will feel sadness. All right, so these are the four effects of sin on this boy. Okay? Now, how was he restored? So, I mean, that's a good lesson in life, right? That whenever you make mistake, there's still a way to amend that mistake. How? If you go and turn to God. Okay? So this is our lesson. What are the steps of restoration? Okay, this is the lesson that we can learn here from this parable. Oh, I don't hear there's anything. Okay, so number one, verse 17. When he came to his senses, he said, how many of my father's hired servants have food to spare? And here I am starving to death. So number one, okay, what are the steps of restoration? Number one, if you want to be restored, you should have a realization. Okay, realization. All right, Dan, prepare. Okay, I I will need to check an example of this from you. So it says here, it's not enough you realize that you make a mistake. You have to do something to fix it. You have to do something to fix it. So when you realize something, you know, you just don't you just don't sleep and then suddenly wake up, oh my god, i have done I have done wrong yesterday. I have tagged this case as resolved. You have to do something to fix it, right? Okay. Have Were you able to experience that kind of a situation in your life, Dan, that you realize you made a mistake and then you have done something to fix it? Can you share about it?
Yes, TL. But I'm going to elaborate something based on my experience in our
Mm,
work. Um, so, couple of months maybe, I've experienced on how I handle the call, and I believe TL Nova uh, pick it up unintentionally, and then found out how the call has been through and the effect of that call is being detractor, of course. So I internalize all the mistakes. In fact, I made a um, like a table on what I did on that call, and of course my personal evaluation on how I can resolve it or how I can improve my the way I handle on that kind of issue. However, I thank God because TL Novas made a way on how I not just realize but make a way in a proper way on how to handle the call properly so that in any case that issues happen again, I could be able to handle it in a proper way, in a good way, not just proper but also in a good way. And I went back to SIP program, then watch videos on that particular issues, and it really helped me in the next after that couple of weeks, then even months now. And without lifting myself here, but I felt the improvement. I saw the improvement by on how should I took that calls months ago, and I thank God because I also uh, kneel down to God and ask prayer that every time I handle a call, He will give me wisdom. So in fact, I've been with TPG that time 3 months ago before that call happened, but that is the first time that I seriously pray and ask God for wisdom. So that's how I realized and made a way to improve that kind of issue. So I bring back all the glory to God for all of those wisdom using TL, using His word to improve that kind of issue or scenario.
Okay, good. Yes, I have seen a lot of improvement from you, Dan. Praise God. Okay, next, Janet. How about this? Don't let your emotion and decision decide for you. Okay. Well, this son actually wants to, so he wants to get the inheritance, right? And probably he's thinking, oh, I might have a good fortune when I go to Syria, when I go to, what was the country before? When I go to Egypt, because they're from Israel, right? So all of a sudden he would just want to I want to get my inheritance. So I'm gonna set off to other country. Okay, probably he's happy. What was the emotion? Okay, was there any situation in your life that you let emotion and um not the decision, that you let your emotion and situation decide for you? Like, you feel like you have no choice. You have to take this because you are angry, because you need to like um you need to succumb to that kind of emotion based on the situation you are in. Have you been on that situation before? Can you share?
Well, TL, actually, yes, a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
But would like to share one from our experience at work as well with
Mm-hmm.
DPJ. So there was this customer. He's actually quite frustrated. He's not showing like he's not shouting at me though, but his voice is frustrated with the service. Then he you know the term mamaru.
Yeah.
So he's like that. So I'm actually I think I'm still new with TPG that time. So
Mm-hmm.
like 3 or 4 months. And I actually myself is hot-headed person. So if you think you know you're doing okay, I just let you do it. So since that person, that customer is not willing um to do the instruction that I'm asking him to do, when I've asked what are the lines, for example. I'm not sure exactly what I asked him to do, but of course, just for physical setup. And he's saying that I'm an IT guy. I know a lot of things. I think he said particularly is a networking guy and he know
Yeah.
those things. And because I'm so frustrated as well. And I told him that how can I think my what I said really is how can I help you if I don't know exactly what really the issue is. Just like how can I prescribe you a medicine if I don't know your sickness. That's
Yes.
what I told the customer, and he's um, really frustrated and asked for a manager. The I think what I've said is not really like triggered him, but the way I said it and the tone of my voice that time, because I'm really frustrated and there's a lot of times that I'm not really shouting, but my voice, the temp of my voice, sometimes it's actually high. If
Yes.
if we have this kind of emotion, because in our brain, okay, you know things to do. Why did you call? Right? So
Right.
that's actually
Okay. Well, yeah. Actually, that happens on a call, and sometimes I really give you pointers on how you could handle that better, guys. Because sometimes, we think that um we have said something that could appease the customer, wherein it did trigger them. It could trigger them. You can simply say, look, um, I have an idea what's happening on your connection in here. But you know what? Let's try to do this troubleshooting first. Okay? So it's more like that. No more patola to your customer, because customers, they are customers. They know exactly what do they need to ask before they contacted you. Like what I'm telling you earlier, or in some of our huddles, I tell you that sometimes there are customers that, oh, before I hang up with this TPG support, I will not hang up with them without a technician. I want a technician. So, okay, so at first hand, they already have this thinking, I want a technician. And that's where it should go, right? Okay, so there's some really uncooperative, and we have to understand, especially if there's a lot of things that has happened to them. Okay, so let's continue to improve on that. Next, seeing where you are is getting the first step to some other places. Okay, say for example, seeing where you are right now, you are in Manila and you want to go to Manila. You want to go to Manila without realizing you are already in Manila, right? You want to go to success without realizing you are still here on the bottom. Sometimes you want to go to the you don't want to go to the bottom, which you don't realize you're already at the bottom. Was there like a situation like that in your life, Mark, wherein you realize you are you are still on the same spot, but you expected that you're no longer there, right? Any situation, can you share?
Yeah. That time I guess um when my father passed away, because that time I really don't know what to do. Though there's a Holy Spirit speaking to me that there's a sense that he will survive, and there's also a sense that he needs to grow, because uh, his condition is worsened. I really cannot attain to him suffering, but at the same time, he wants to keep him, but it's God's will that he needs to go home. So that's why at first it's really difficult on us to really move forward. But little by little, I'm able to understand that that's the time. Although on my other vision, I already see it happening, but when I had that experience in real perspective, like on the spot, I'm really shocked. And that time, I really having issues with myself, questioning myself, why do I need to live if I will be dying maybe sooner or later. But yeah, through God's comfort, I'm able to survive. Though, as you know as well, that I'm going to a situation right now, but I'm only digging into His word, that He says to me that He will not leave you, He will not forsake you.
Right. Yes, definitely. We have those kind of experience wherein we think that we cannot do this. Say for example, you want to go somewhere success, but currently right now you're seeing all of these distractions. You are seeing all of these struggles where you yourself, before you go to that path of success, you want to give up already. No, you don't need to give up. All you need to do is to progress. Okay? Little progress is still progress. All right? So Lastly, so you will not change something that seems okay to you. This one, this one, I'm gonna answer this. You have to, especially when I became a team leader. So what was okay with me anyway? Basic, all of basic, and I was this person that I came. I don't have leadership experience even back in PE. Okay, I don't have that point person training. I was just an engineer. I answer calls, I assess case and all, and then all of a sudden I need to handle like 14 staffs. How am I going to handle it, right? And I'm being used to, and I'm the type of person who is really bossy. Sometimes here in my house, I am bossy, but in the ministry, no, I am not, because I've learned to be humble. And good thing I learned to be humble because you guys are, you have different personalities, and every time that I speak to each and every one of you, I need to be like, I need to fit on your shoe as well. How can, so I could understand you more. um I need to find your strength, okay, and then uplift your spirit there, but I also need to find your weakness so that I can train you there. Okay, that's my attack before. No. What should I do? I'm just used to, all right, I just answer the calls and then just accept it. That's all. No biggie, right? But there's a lot of things that has been improved when I became a leader, because it really did change on how I communicate to people, how I communicate to managers, how I view the management in a whole new different level. All right, so much for our first point, which is realization. Wow, this is really great for us. Okay. All right. So that's what's the first step of restoration is number one, realization. Second step, okay, here is resolution. So it says here in verse 18, I will set out and go back to my father and say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired servants. So he realized that, oh, I had a good life when I am still with my father. So I need to get back to him. Probably just being one of his servant. Just, not being a son, but just one of a servant, right? That's my thinking. That's his thinking. I remember before when I was sick, probably I was like first year, second year high school. We have this season, we have this feeling that because when I get sick, I get sick only once in a blue moon. But when I get sick, I'm really in bed, like, I I'm I get really very thin, you know. That's once in a blue moon, but that's just really very difficult for us. Okay? So I pray to God, Lord, once I recover my sixes, I'm not gonna sin anymore. I'm gonna go to church, I'm gonna pray, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. Have you experienced that kind of you wanna promise that back to the Lord, right? So that, I think it happened many times, and it did happen. It's just routinary. So it's just going back like that. Lord, when I was on debt, I don't have money at all. That's zero balance on my bank account. Lord, once I'm past with this trial, I I'm not gonna do that anymore. I've learned my lesson. Yeah, I think everybody has that kind of moment some point in our life, right? So resolution, it's not important to realize you are wrong, but it's important to do things right. Correct? So, Janet, um, as to how you are handling your tasks at the moment, HD Online, was there any situation that this point, okay, that you can relate this point? It's
Mm,
not enough to realize that you are wrong. It's important to do things right.
yes. Alright. So, I'm just gonna say with the one what I've shared earlier. So after that incident, I actually transfer that customer to FSMail, and FSMail assist the customer further. And after he hung up with the customer, he asked me to go on coaching right away. So I'm just actually praying, hope I will not get scolded by FSMail, because you know FSMail's personality, right? He's jolly, but he is kind of strict at the same time. So when he asked me to go on on coaching, so he pointed out exactly why the customer is actually got agitated. Not because as I mentioned, not because I'm telling him that I need to diagnose the sickness, or but the way I delivered the sentence, which is it adds fuel to the fire, since the customer is already frustrated, and my tone of voice is not helpful and strong. So that's what he told me. But at the end, after our coaching, FSML told me that the customer is also asking for saying sorry as well at the same time, since he is frustrated right away, actually onset of the call. So he's also, been triggered. Um, we have same. I'm gonna say we have same mistake, but most definitely that's my mistake on my part, because I'm here to provide support, not to make them more angrier or mad or frustrated with DPG. So after that, actually, I didn't use that word anymore to all of my calls, that if I'm a doctor, I need to diagnose first. I didn't use that parable at all. So I've learned my lesson, and even though right now, even though the customer, like say, there's a lot of customers still that is onset of the call, they're frustrated. So I'm trying to calm myself as much as I can, and extend assistance, even though they don't want it, they refuse it, and still, trying to de-escalate. But there's still point wherein, of course, I'll be asking for your assistance for CHP calls. That's it,
All
TL.
right. Thank you, Janet. All right. And the fact that you are here right now, you want to have a self improvement and development here because, people here are not frustrated, but you can feel how, how we speak words with tenderness, how we speak words with patience, how we describe, what you call this, um, of course, compassion to others. Definitely, we're going to get there. Okay? So next, resolution demands determination. So here, the son is actually determined to go back. Why? Because he set a plan. So he did draw, okay? He did draw, and then he went back to his father. You know, probably while he was with the pigs, he's staring at the stars at night. He told him, he's telling himself, I'm gonna go back to my father. And this is what I'm going to tell him. I have sinned against heaven and against you. I don't want to be your son anymore, but just, sorry, not that word. Um, I want to be one of your hired servants, not your son anymore. Just accept me. I just want to be here with you. I am safe here, right? Okay, so he has created this plan. Okay? So once you realize something is wrong. Do you plan? Right? Say for example, when you have this detractor, whatever that detractor is, so do you check how can I not have this kind of detractor next time, right? I mean, you know what? Dan is a great example. So OM Noel actually asking me, oh, how is Dan doing? How is Lawrence doing? Are they really good in calls? How's their communication? I told them they're good. Yeah, they're good. I cannot say not that excellent, but they're good. But not really in communication. They have a lot to develop. But of course, what I like about them is their transparency. If they don't know what to do, they always PM me. They always they always advise FS. They always bugging us on Teams. Yeah, so that's their secret actually. So that if they don't know what to do 15 minutes of their call, BL, this customer, he has a lot of bad experience with us. What I'm going to do with this? Am I going to like provide them a credit, a billing adjustment? This is what I've checked. Okay, so we have that kind of transparency, and that's the reason why they can prevent they can prevent having a bad situation, right? So for the longest time, for 2 months now, they have clear records of those detractors. Okay, so they are transparent. Okay, um, that's two things that you need to learn. Okay, as a staff, you don't just need to learn communication. Yes, verbal. Well, our customers. They're gonna assess you not as an individual but as a company. And what do they care? They only care about themselves. Okay? So, if you know that there is one chance that we haven't satisfied them in a particular situation, a particular concern, what are you going to do? If you have doubt, okay, you have to speak to your TN, have to speak to your FS. Yeah? And that's the reason why we have CHP, right? Right? Because you have already done your best, and yet um, your customer needs more, okay, that you cannot provide. And that's where we are. Okay? So next, resolution demands a plan. Put a blueprint in your life. Okay, so this one is let's talk about our life goals. Okay. Um Dan, in terms of of course you have your family, right? In terms of a planning, okay, plan for your kids, for your family, uh was there like a setback in your family that, you know, you have said to yourself, I have to um, decide for an urgent resolution on this problem? Was there a situation like that in your life?
I think there is still, or um, you know what? I'm married for 14 years,
Wow.
and what?
Really?
Yes,
Congrats.
still 14 years, and my elder son is 14 years old. Next is 12 years old, and the youngest is 2 years old. I think the urgent resolution that we always do in is on how to make adjustment to my kids, especially to this 14-year-old and 12-year-old, because they're on in the middle of being adolescent period. So they have the decisions in their life that most of the times me and my wife didn't know until such time that I have my access on their phones and on their social media's account, and I read all the Jesus and stuff like that. And we found out that there's something wrong with them, there's happening with them that we didn't know. So I always talk to my kids that they need to be open to us, whatever cost it is, because that's how we can have a mutual relationship, and at the same time we can put an urgent response for whatever issues that they're having, because we always remind them that they're still kids whatever happened. I mean, whatever problems that they may encounter or they may be faced, we are always involved with that. So in order for us to avoid any further damage and things like that, we need to make sure that every issues is being communicated. So I always use the passage in the Bible in Ephesians chapter 6 verses 1 and 2. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor your father and your mother, for this is the first commandment with promise. Then Paul evaluated the promises and things like that. So I always use the verses in the Bibles to correct them, so that they could be able to express their thoughts and whatever things that they need to reach. And so far, it's really a good way on how to talk with them and make adjustment and things like that. But me and my wife, in terms of urgent decision, we don't. To be honest, TL, we don't decide until it's being discussed. So every decision, everything that we need to do for our family, it needs to be discussed with prayer. So we always kneel to God with prayer. If we need to do fasting for that major decision, we're doing fasting, and we believe in fasting. We also make a promise to God to convene with Him by, for example, we need to complete this kind of devotional passages and things like that. So we always involve God in every urgent decision in our lives.
Wow.
Take it,
Wow.
TL.
I like wow, this is activity is really good. We have learned the first-hand parenting from that one. That's so nice, right? Okay. So, right. So we have to involve God. Let Jesus be the center of everything before we decide about anything. Look at this. Look at this. This is going to happen to us when we make you know decisions that are urgent that we are unable to like you know, think clearly about it. So next one and last, resolution demands implementation. Okay? Don't just admit your mistake, be restored. Of course, so what happened in here? So he wants to have that kind of resolution. He wants to go back to his father. But, you know, he did humble himself because some of this nowadays I think most of the kids of this generation they are like self entitled. Even my yeah my siblings here at home, so they shout at my mom. I don't know what happened, and that's the reason why I came here is because I want to disciple them. I want to influence them. This is your ate. Your ate is not yet married yet. You are making um you want to squander everything. You don't have money yet. You have the right to like shout to your parents. What are you? Right? I mean, you don't have anything yet. Okay? You don't have anything to prove to us yet. But why are you behaving like that? Okay, that's what I have checked in here. So that's the reason why I plan to stay here longer as well because I want to influence my siblings, you know. So implementation. Don't just admit your mistake. Be restored. So after you have realized you're wrong, there's something wrong. Okay. I realize that there is something wrong with your call handling. What have you done? Okay. What have you checked for? What are the options? Say for example, during our coaching, we have this corrective action. We have this way forward, this corrective action. I have put the corrective action. Actually, the corrective action should be discussed both by TL and the staff. And sometimes I prepare the corrective action. I'm just testing you guys whether you're gonna put anything in there. So whatever the both parties agreed, that will be your way forward or your commitment. Okay. But it's just so happens that some of you are lazy. You just want to put anything there on your commitment. Not even considering what I have put there in the corrective action. Sometimes I'm just testing, you know. But yeah, that's how it is. Okay, but I don't want to make your life harder so I prepared it there. I didn't see that some of you guys are unable to see that there is already a corrective actions there, and then there you are. You're gonna be thinking, what am I going to put in here? You wanna go to Confluence? You wanna go anything, anywhere, right? Okay, so don't just admit your mistake. Okay, you also have to implement the resolution, right? You wanna take those training videos. You want to research for yourself, you want to practice. I have this kind of program. I'm doing a project. I'm thinking of a project wherein I can put it on TikTok where it's gonna be like it will be a contest, of course. You know naman. I'm a contest master, so I'm gonna go with that. Say for example, if this is a situation over the phone on a customer, um I'm gonna pick what is the best answer for that particular call. So I pictured myself, I'm gonna have my makeup in here and then I'll record this in TikTok. I'm gonna share it to my staff and then I'll have a prize, right? That's beautiful. I can start from there. Okay. So that Even we are using social media. I mean, we are still continuously improving ourselves, and then we are earning this, right? So that's very smart. So that's the kind of project that I am. That's one of my project. The second project that I have is creating more new songs so that I can publish it here as well in TikTok and in YouTube. So while being happy as a team leader, I'm also working out how can I have extra income? How can I bond with my team? Right. So in the first place, this kind of ministry is really God's gift to me. Okay. Um, if you are some of you might be asking why is TL doing this. I mean, she's not getting anything out of it. I am getting anything. I am happy while doing this. So I told you last time I have done all of those training videos. I have done all of those training materials so that I can at least help you out, you know. But my return of investment is this, the life group. Okay, because if there is no life group, I'm not gonna be happy. I'm gonna be looking for something. Okay, probably on the other teams, because this is what makes me happy, right? And I saw an opportunity wherein, why is my staff talking like a robot on the phone? Probably I can teach them how to have a heart when they're talking to our customers. Being conversational, not just really transactional. So I have used it as well here, right? So that's the kind of communication that we'll be developing on this kind of activity. All right, so that's number two steps of restoration. Okay, number three. Okay, so here we go. The most exciting part is reconciliation. So it says here, I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired servants. Okay, so in reconciliation, it is important that one party has a compassion. Dad, did you have like a situation wherein it's really hard to it's really hard to release forgiveness, right? I think you can relate to this. Like you have a son, 14-year-old. Probably you have this kind of situation with them, right? Um, so the one person has a compassion here because imagine what will be the what's the what's the appearance of the son, okay, going home to his father. He is a hired servant for pigs, probably has mud all over his body. He haven't he has not taken a bath for how many months or weeks. We don't know, days. You usually feel smell. You might be smelly already. How about weeks, right? And then he's hungry. Probably he's so too thin. He is unrecognizable. So somebody needs compassion in order for him to be accepted. Okay, so back to you. Was there any chance in your family life that you encountered this situation of father and son, difficulties, challenge about forgiveness, and then you applied compassion? What have you felt after that, and how was the relationship of you to your son moving forward after that situation?
Okay, we have a recent scenario here at TL. Um, those two elders need to participate in a daily vacation Bible school in Silang. So that is around um, 1 hour to 1 hour drive from our place. So what happened was Sunday they had a meeting, then Wednesday is the departure time. So they need to depart on Wednesday morning, and then they're going to stay in Silang. That is a daughter, not a daughter church, a friend church for that asked assistance to handle the first time DVBS in their church. Now what happened was I know they're very much excited, and my wife is need to go to work that time. She's working in a Korean school teaching English language. So we before all of those stuff happened, we divided the work for them, like washing the dishes, taking care of my 2-year-old daughter, and another stuff inside the house. So I told them that there's only 3 days that they need to do to perform for those specific job or specific uh, house chores. Now, I don't know what happened, but the day before they need to go to Silang, things happen. No one is responding to anything inside the house. I told them to wash the dishes. No one is doing that. I need to. I told them to take care of our 2-year-old daughter. No one is doing that. So what happened was when I checked my son is doing things on his phone together with my the second one. So instead of doing house chores, they're chatting and things like that. So to make the long story short, my emotion burst up. So I decided no one will go to that DVBS. So yeah, I mean, throughout the day, we we're not talking to each other. We're here, but we're not talking. And my mind and my heart is fully decided for them not to go to the DVBS. I know that hurts them so much because the second one cried uh, in tears. I'm I felt the pityness in my heart, but I need to be strong for my decision. Then what happened was nighttime nighttime came, then my wife arrived from work, then we talked, I explained to them what happened, and then after we ate dinner, um I come to my realization. I simply pray to God for final wisdom because that time they need to prepare because earlier in the morning on Wednesday morning they need to go to Silang or Tagaytay. Then after I prayed, I checked my son and my daughter, talked to them seriously with compassion, and then what happened was my wife made another commitment, and then explained those commitment to them. Then after that, they agreed, and then a couple of minutes after that, I talked to them again and then explained what happened, and then I decided, okay, so you pack your things and then you go with them. So to what happened was again my second child cried again. Then I hug her. Then I go to my son. I hug him and then say sorry to them. So everything was reconciled. We talked with as a whole family, and I felt again the excitement from their eyes and what they're doing, and everything was okay. So that's the reason one. That was Wednesday.
Wow.
So yeah.
All right. Well, that's good. Yeah, and sometimes if they're really kids, so it doesn't really. That's what I realized now. When I first arrived here, talking to my siblings, I think like I just suddenly realized why am I talking to them as if they are my employees, as if they are my staff, as if they are at work. Okay, so I have to slow down. I have to slow down because I don't want to ruin the relationship. Because I have to know each and every one of them. Because I'm the type of sister that merely um, um, here in the province like once in a blue moon as well. 4 to 5 years, something like that. Because I have to work in Manila, then support them here. Yeah, so I'm trying to um get to know them more. Okay. So they're slowly opening to me as well. So next, the Lord gives compassion, but you have to confess what you have done wrong. Okay, that's for reconciliation. So if we want to be reconciled to God, why do we need reconciliation? Because at some point we see that we have a disconnect, to a person. Let's say, for example, in our spiritual life, to the Lord. I told you earlier in my example is that even though I'm already a Christian, yet you are doing this side task in the background, that you're doing these little things. It's a bit you think that it's white lies or just, a minimal sin, but no, it's still a sin, whatever that is that you are doing. And it's not what God wants you, of course, for you. Definitely, you will feel that you are somehow disconnected. So when I first became a Christian, let's say that was like 5 to 6 years ago, um, I really remove everything that would connect me to my old life, my friends, drinks, parties, bars, relationship, everything. Remove it, and then I devoted myself into the devotion. I'm quite addicted to it because I was like late in my office before. In I was still in Convergys before, but I think I was a consistent top performer, and I have lots of money before because when we have CSAT, our CSAT is worth 500. For 500 non-taxable. Yeah, I was so rich before, and there's like there's commissions. So like every 2 weeks, I have this kind of testimony to our church that I have received this commission, that I have received this um, bonus, I have received this something, right? So I mean, that's a kind of that's kind of um, a sacrifice that I have done. But once you have learned to humble yourself and just submit yourself to God, you confess what you have done wrong, definitely the Lord will have a compassion on us, right? And so he he just really turned my life upside down. You have no idea. Okay, so this one I'm gonna be this is a bit theological. I will be explaining this. All right. So as part of reconciliation, there are symbolisms in here. Because in verse 22, the father said to his servants, "Quick, bring the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet." Okay. So robe here speaks about purity. Okay. When this boy squandered the wealth and um removed the authority of his father from him by him deciding to himself what he's going to do in his life, it speaks about purity. Okay, so once the Lord restores you, every mess will be covered by him. So you cannot say that I will not turn to God up until I am already pure. Will not turn to God up until I'm already healed. We have to turn to God so that you can be healed. You have to turn to God so that you can be pure. Because nobody could imagine if you have this Samsung phone. Are you going to take it to Huawei to be fixed by it? Are you going to take it to Asus? No, the manufacturer should fix it. So therefore, if you believe that God created you, if you believe that God is an authority in you, if you believe that God could fix you, you go to God. You turn to God as soon as you can, right? Okay? So, second one is the ring. It symbolizes the sonship and authority. So once you have accepted Jesus, you have to know your identity and authority over things. So you have this kind of prayer of acceptance, right? So when you say, Lord Jesus, I accept you as my Lord and Savior. Starting today, be the King of my life, be the Lord of my life, right? It speaks about submission, okay? So that means you have to realize that when you believe in Jesus, you have authority over things. That's why when you pray to God, you pray something like this: Lord, I command this sickness to go away from his body in Jesus' name. You have to command that because you already have the power and rule over everything. So, for example, if you want this blessing, Lord, I command this blessing, or I command this business to have a favor with me. Okay, to get uh that I could get it to come to me, right? If you want a million savings, I command this kind of bonus or commission, this kind of a business to be in favor with me, right? Because you can command. What did Jesus? The reason why we have this kind of passages in the Bible wherein Jesus says he's commanding like the mountain, right? So go throw yourself into the sea, something like that. That's the kind of prayer that we can do as well. That means to make the impossible possible. How? By faith. Okay? Your belief in God. And that is very what do you call this? Visible. Okay? That kind of belief, that kind of faith is visible in a person as to how we speak, as to how we act, as to how we communicate to others, right? Confident people know what they are talking about. Okay? People who have doubts, they tend to be, they tend to stutter. They tend to do fillers. They tend to like go over and over and over again, right? Because you're not that confident. You just want to repeat yourself. And then of course the person who is like you're speaking with over the phone, or somebody who is you are having conversation with, what is this trying to do? Why don't he get straight to the point? Right? Okay? So know your identity and authority over things. Be confident. But it doesn't mean that you will know everything. Of course, you have to study, right? You have to fill your brain with those kind of skills that is necessary for your work. It's necessary for the career path you want to choose. Say, for example, you want to be a trainer, you have to develop yourself to be confident enough. You have to develop yourself on how you can communicate with your superiors, with staffs, with people, right? Okay, next, shoes. Shoes speaks about position. All right, this is your position. So God gives you back the distinction to others. What is your difference to others? Okay, walk your calling. So how did God call you here in TPG, in your work? You are called to serve. You are called to be patient. I mean, uh, actually, this is the word of this is the word. Make life your ministry. You know what ministry means? It's not just simply sharing the gospel to other people, because we have different gifts. Some of us are called to be teachers. Some of us are called to be pastors. Some of us are called to be financiers. Probably those are the millionaires, right? Those who have money. Okay, they have a lot of money. Okay, so we have different gifts. In our team, some of us are called to be um, very good in outbound, callback, courtesy call, let me just say at FS, right? Some of us are very good at negotiation. Okay? Who's good at negotiation? Nico, probably Nico. He's good with the offers, right? Some of us are good with patience, with empathy. Some of us are good with let's say for example, being friendly, Baski. Okay? Some of us are good with really very technical background that you know what's happening with have advanced knowledge. Mark is an example. Okay? Some of us are good with, how can I say that? Being a strategist. Dan is an example. Dan, Lawrence, um, they're strategists. Some of us are good at customer service. So we have Claire. We have different things. We have different gifts, abilities, skills. And most of the time, if all of us will be moving into, we'll be moving just one way forward, definitely we'll get into our goal, being on the top 5 in HD. We can do that because we already have all of our assets. Okay, we have assets on the team, and your TL, I think, I'm good at leadership, and let's see, for example, motivation. Okay, that's what I could say, right? So we have everything in the team. So don't lose yourself, don't lose hope if you think you are not good at something. Why? Because we have assets. Because we have people here, not outside the team, not just in the management, just here in the team. Okay, feel free to like reach out to them. How do you do empathy statement? Yeah, Claire is good at upselling. I can tell you. Mark as well is good at upselling. If you want to have that kind of if you want to know how do they position themselves before the upsell, they have this discarte, right? They have this keyword that they get from the customer. Try to reach out to them, guys. Okay? Okay. So what happens here is that if this person, um, because in the Old Testament, um, in the Deuteronomy, okay, one of the law here is that if a son, okay, like has a great sin like this to his parents, what's gonna be the punishment? Okay, stoned to death. So the father need to run, ahead, because if this son of him that has returned back was seen by his neighbors, definitely is gonna stone him. So if ever his neighbors or these people who realize that uh this prodigal son came back home, right, to his family, they will be stoning him. He's going to be taken to the plaza. Um, they will be stoning him to death so that they could show to their children, do not imitate the work of this boy, this man. Okay? And then that's gonna be an example. But what will happen in here? So the father ran to embrace the son of him who was returned back, so that if ever somebody throws a stone, he can shield him, right? And then quickly, you see that? Quick! Bring the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. So that's very quick. That's very urgent. The decision of the father, he has this kind of compassion to this person, just like us, just like you and me. Whatever you have done in the past, like, I don't know, probably the sins that I have done in the past, God is just like close his eyes and then all of a sudden your sin is forgiven. That's what I felt when I first became a full-fledged Christian. Okay? Because he said, for the son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found. So they began to celebrate. Okay? Whenever there was a person coming back to God, that means he is dead from his old life and he has a new life. He was lost and is now found. So the heavens celebrate. So they began celebrate. Okay? That means, why does the father was the first to run to embrace his child? Because this child is weak. Humans are weak. Humans who have experienced bad things in life, troubles, difficulties, challenges, you are weak. But let me tell you, you are maybe weak, but God will run to embrace you. Okay, I want to introduce you to someone that you know. Okay, someone that you know, I think very much. I think you have an idea that you know this person, but given that kind of position he or she is with right now, they will not know that this is her old life before. Watch this video. This is Taglish.
John 3:16 says, "For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but have eternal life." Ako po ay isa sa mga nakaranas sa word na ito ng Lord. I am here to tell the goodness and greatness of God in my life. Maaga akong namulat sa kahirapan sa buhay at maaga rin akong naging curious sa pagpasok sa relationship. I never felt that I was loved by the people around me, not even my family. There was one time that I don't know my purpose anymore in this world, so I decided to take my own life. Yes, I tried to commit suicide. Naranasan ko ang madepress, ang problema, kahit sa tingin ng iba ay okay lang naman ako. But the truth is, I'm already dying inside. Ganun pala yun, no? Kapag pala hindi mo na alam ang purpose mo sa buhay, sapat na pala yung dahilan para i-give up mo na lang ang buhay mo. I entered relationship because I was looking for true love, and I believe it forever. When I was in high school, nawalan ako ng tiwala sa mga lalaki kasi nakita kong harap-harapan akong niloko ng naging boyfriend ko noon. So ganun din ang ginawa ko. Pumasok ako ng relationship para manloko. Nung nagtatrabaho na ako sa call center, naging ugali ko ang pagsabay-sabayin ang mga naging karelasyon ko. You know why? Para kapag niloko ako ng isa, meron akong pamalit na iba. I also had relationship with an American, British, Turkish, even Filipinos. I also had relationship even sa kapwa ko girls. At hindi ako naging masaya. I was liberated, and all in all, I had 20 men in my life. Ang standard ko pagdating sa relationship ay hanggang friends with benefits lang. Life became boring for me. Hindi ko talaga alam kung saan at anong gusto kong puntahan ng buhay ko. But one day, I was invited by one of my classmates na ngayon ay spiritual leader ko na. Her name is Girly Pasqua. January 2015, naranasan ko ang matinding pagmamahal ng Lord nung umattend ako ng life retreat. During this time, I am in a relationship with an American. I met him online and we were about to meet here in Manila during the life retreat. He promised me marriage and good life, but I have to live my life here in the Philippines. This situation came to me only days before the life retreat. I had to make a difficult decision, pero pinili ko si Lord at ang life retreat. I broke up with him and decided to go into the life retreat. Bago ang life retreat, nire-start din po ako ng leader ko at involved sa kanyang life group, giving me tasks like prayer and singing the worship song. Actually, walang nakakaalam ng struggle ko sa relationship sa panahon yun. Katulad nyo, dumaan din ako sa ganitong process. Swerte nga kayo kasi online ang naabutan yung life retreat. At kalahating araw lang. Yung sa amin noon, 3 araw pa. So during the life retreat, nangusap sa akin ng Lord, "Anak, ba't mo sinisira ang katawan mo? Hindi mo ba alam na matay ako para sa iyo?" Nung tinanggap ko si Jesus sa buhay ko, first time ko naramdaman na may nagmahal sa akin ng totoo. During the life retreat, the Lord clothed me again with holiness and purity. That even if I was taken and used by different men, I still deserve to love and to be loved by a man, a future husband. I therefore conclude that true love is only found in Jesus. I also learned my true and sole purpose in life, and that is to make disciples. Make leaders who will lead more people to Jesus. Ginamit ng Lord ang mga pinagdaanan ko sa buhay para makilala siya ng iba. Pinanghawakan ko ang word niya sa akin sa Jeremiah 29:11, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future." Mahirap magbago pero nagtiwala ako sa Lord at dumaan ang process.